Now, the Obama administration is becoming, I think, more and more upside down. Could we do cut 16? Here is the administration and our fearless leader claiming that Reagan was a wild-eyed socialist.
Congress to stand up for the middle class and make our tax system fair by passing this Buffett rule. Let me just close by saying this. I'm not the first president to call for this idea that everybody's got to do their fair share. Some years ago, one of my predecessors traveled across the country pushing for the same concept. He gave a speech where he talked about a letter he had received from a wealthy executive who paid lower tax rates than his secretary and wanted to come to Washington and tell Congress why that was wrong. So this president gave another speech where he said it was crazy, that's a quote, that certain tax loopholes make it possible for multimillionaires to pay nothing while a bus driver was paying 10% of his salary. That wild-eyed socialist tax-hiking class warrior was Ronald Reagan.
And the liar is Barack Obama.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Here, notice what he said. He said Ronald Reagan was talking about closing
loopholes.
Tax loopholes.
Yep.
That's not the same.
He also said this millionaire had paid no taxes because of these loopholes. And of course, there's not a single person, I don't think, who believes millionaires should pay zero taxes. Nobody wants that.
George Soros. George Soros.
Well, apparently Warren Buffett, who won't pay his own taxes.
Yeah, and Warren Buffett.
He apparently does actually believe that.
It's loopholes that you're talking about. That's what Ronald Reagan, well, he wasn't a wild-eyed socialist. He believed that you abide by the law, that whatever the law is, you abide by it, and you make sure that it is fair for everyone. That if you have money for a bunch of lawyers and everything else that can find all these loopholes in the 80 billion page tax code, that's wrong. You should close the loopholes so everybody pays their fair share.
And the reason that people consider Barack Obama a wild-eyed socialist as opposed to Ronald Reagan is the delivery system, for one thing, and the frequency with which this class war stuff happens. Ronald Reagan just wanted to close loopholes in the tax code. Barack Obama wants to redistribute wealth, and that's not coming from me. That's coming from his own mouth. And he goes around bashing wealth and people of wealth continually. Every single day, he pits the haves against the have-nots. Yeah. Every day to try to get his way.
Tomorrow we're doing a special on communism, and it's amazing. Everybody said, when I asked, what are the things that are concerning you? This was an audience of 40 people that had all come out of communism, no matter where it was, from Cambodia to Cuba, the former Soviet Union, or some of them were living under fascism in Germany. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They all said the same thing. Class warfare. Pitting one against the other. When a government starts to pit one against the other, watch out, because their other hand is doing the real dangerous stuff. And they all said the number one sign of communists and Marxists and totalitarian dictators is class warfare. And that's what he's doing. And look what's happening to us. They immediately apologized. This war on women is completely bogus. Completely bogus. There is no war on women. What? War on women? What are you talking about? Who in real life is talking about the war on women? In real life, you're talking about how much did gas cost you? How much is food? What is milk cost now? You talk, maybe if you want to talk politics, you'll talk about the budget deficit.
I think some of the women at the White House talk about the war on women.
Yeah.
Well, because they're making 18% less than their male counterparts who work at the White House.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about there. That darn
Obama
Bush
is paying the women in the White House
only because he inherited those women from George
less.
Bush.
No,
it was George.
No, he picked his own women. Yeah,
really?
He picked his own women.
Well, it's not like he did that though during the campaign as well.
During the campaign, he paid him 87 cents on the dollar to what he paid the men, whereas the McCain campaign paid the women $1.06 to what they paid the men. Yeah.
That's weird.
So this has been ongoing for a long time, and this was during the time when he was talking about income disparity between men and women, and he wanted to pass the rule that, women and men had to make exactly the same
These
amount
guys
of pay
aren't
for the same
hypocrites.
work. It's unbelievable.
They're not hypocrites. They're liars. They're liars.
Yeah. To example, back to the tax thing for a second. Did Ronald Reagan say he wanted to close some tax loopholes? Yes. In the context of lowering the tax rate from 70% to 28%.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to
He
raise
wasn't trying to
taxes.
raise it. He was lowering the rates from 70 to 28 and
And
getting rid of
making
loopholes.
and what he was saying was the rate is at 78% because there's all these loopholes. Let's get rid of the 78% income tax, bring it down to, what was it, 30?
70 to 28.
To 28%. Let's bring it down to 28%, but let's make that 28% real. So you're really paying 28%. That was his argument. This isn't socialism.
Yeah. It's like he's making the same, Obama's making the same argument, taking a rate higher than the one Reagan wanted and raising it even more. Where Reagan was saying, let's drop it from these ridiculous rates of 70 down to 28.
Again, they're liars. He knows he's making a dishonest argument.
Yes,
he knows it.
Absolutely.
And everyone around him knows it. Everyone who walks into that Oval Office knows it. They're not hypocrites. They're liars.